So we've talked about vaginal estrogen on the show a lot, but I wanted to just come back to DHEA as a moment. So for a moment of explanation, let's say, talk to us about DHEA as the precursor to some of these hormones that we're talking about, and then how one might take it, what are some of the benefits, and then I would love for you to maybe even go a little bit into the GSM, like the genital urinary syndrome of menopause, because I think that the last time you were on the show, I think my jaw dropped when you said, I think it was something like 80% of women will experience clitoral atrophy. And you're like, and I think it's higher because people don't report it. Like they're not, people are too embarrassed to say it, or they don't even notice the changes because the degradation is so,
Doctors don't know how to examine the clitoris too. So
right. So there's that.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay, so DHEA is dihydroepiandrosterone, and it is produced by the adrenals by and large. So naturally produced, it's like a hormone in our body, right? And it declines with age, as do all the other sex hormones. So there's two main ways to get DHEA. DHEA in America is a supplement. So it's not regulated like a pharmaceutical. That said, the vaginal DHEA in America is a prescription. Everything's made up and nothing makes sense. But here we have it. But I know DHEA in Europe and in Canada is a prescription. I don't know, you guys can't get DHEA oral.
I don't think so. No, not in Canada. Yeah.
So that's like an interesting thing in and of itself. But so DHEA is what they call a precursor hormone, which converts to estradiol and testosterone intrachronology, meaning in the cell. The DHEA goes in the cell, it converts. So basically, all of these things are like on a pathway of they can convert into each other. For anybody who's gone to medical school, it's the cholesterol pathway and the adrenal pathways. So DHEA in the genitals converts to both estradiol and testosterone. Why is that important? Because our genitals have a lot of androgen receptors. They have a lot of testosterone receptors. Getting into why it bothers me when people say testosterone's only for libido. Testosterone has been shown to help all domains of female sexuality, which include arousal, which is blood flow, orgasm, which is pelvic floor muscle contraction and blood flow, right? And testosterone helps the genitals be adult genitals. And when you take hormones away, those genitals can atrophy. The bladder muscle gets more spastic. So that looks like urinary urgency, urinary frequency, getting up at night to pee. The estrogen goes away in the vagina, so the vagina loses its microbiome. When you lose your lactobacillus, you don't make lactic acid, and the acidity of the vagina is actually a protective mechanism for the poop bugs not getting up to the pee place, because the poop bugs don't like an acidic environment. So your microbiome literally changes when your hormones decline, and that's why we see an increased risk in urinary tract infections. So that's local DHEA. The brand name in America, again, it's prescription, is called Intrarosa or Prasterone, but it's actually just DHEA. I went to Australia. I was speaking at the Sydney Opera House, which was insane, March 1st, and all the women I'm talking to, they're all on vaginal DHEA. And I'm like, why is everybody in Australia on vaginal DHEA? Because in America, it's quite expensive. It's like $80 a month, and a lot of insurance doesn't cover it. And they're like, oh, because it's only $40 a month here. And I'm like, damn, you guys, you're all the good stuff. So
go Australia,
dollar for dollar, I would choose vaginal DHEA. But because
would you do that in lieu of estrogen or together with?
It depends. Again, it's individualized. Like some women just need more. And the DHEA in America is a vaginal suppository. And so that goes in the vagina. But it is enough where the vulva actually does get better. But I think some women are on both. So it's an individualized thing. But dollar for dollar, I think DHEA is awesome and probably better because it has the mechanism of giving us some androgens as well as some estrogens. So testosterone converts to estrogen because it loses carbons, but estrogen cannot convert to testosterone. These are one-way paths, right? Did that answer all your questions?
I believe you did. And I guess the other question that...
the other DHEA question is, what about the oral supplements?
That was my next question. Yeah. So what about oral?
So lots of different oral DHEA in America. There's decent data. I mean, we have some randomized placebo-controlled trials looking at both perimenopause, postmenopause, way past menopause, and we have it in the male population as well. By and large, from all of that, it's safe. It's unlikely to cause harm, but there isn't overwhelming data to say that this is something that should be a standard part of your routine. I think some people do see benefit from it, and I think the risk is very low, but it tends to, like, side effects would be like greasy skin. It helps some people's sexual function, but it isn't, and again, in America, it's a supplement, so which is unregulated. And so you can't always say what's on the bottle is what you're going to get. And so there's a lot of issues with it. But by and large, I usually say if you find that it helps, great. Probably won't hurt you. It's pretty safe. Start low with the doses. The oral doses are across the board from like 5 milligrams to 100 milligrams. So it's like if you want to do it, just start slow and start low. But not great data, but pretty safe.
I like that because I don't think that there's many people talking about DHEA. I think this might even be the first time that I've had this conversation on the show. Mm-hmm. And when I think about men, in terms of sexual health, erectile dysfunction, this is usually, and you can speak to this certainly more brilliantly than I can, but it's usually an early sign of CVD, right? It's usually coming back to this hard on cardiovascular disease conversation. Would you say that the equivalent is also true in women? So low desire, let's say, in women, or maybe low arousal, or if there's evidence of she might be saying like my orgasms aren't as strong, or I'm having a hard time reaching climax. Would that be also a homologue? Could you say that also might be an early sign of cardiovascular disease as well?
Yeah. So arousal, whether it's erection or blood flow in women, right? Female erection, right? That's blood flow. And so it's kind of just an outward sign of that's microvascular disease. That might be, if you've got low blood flow in your pelvis, you might have low blood flow in other places, but horrifically understudied in the female population. But I think, that's where it's like we study drugs in men and then we just give them to women without any female study. And then we're like, yeah, but maybe not with heart disease and erections. And I'm like, well, no, it like you said, our bodies aren't
women
all
have
that
erections
different.
too, right?
Women have erections.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So arousal, I would say desire is the most studied of the female sexual health issues. Arousal is much less studied. But again, looking into like nitric oxide and, how can we get blood flow? Certainly pelvic hormones, right? Which increase blood flow. You give a woman systemic testosterone. There's a study on this. Give a woman systemic testosterone. You throw an ultrasound probe on her clitoral artery and her clitoral artery has better blood flow. Mm-hmm. Which begs the question, if you give systemic testosterone, it's probably not just helping the clitoral artery. It's probably helping lots of arteries. Right?
Yes.
So it's like we have, and that's the thing about my book is like, we've got some studies. We have to take what we have and don't wildly extrapolate, but be like, hey.
But there's some logical deductions you can make.
There's some logical deductions that we can take, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.